Hike fans, and welcome to the second video this week.
Yeah, can't get enough of it.
Can't get enough of us, no. We did a video yesterday.
Yes.
Which was about Google's slight change in how they treat no-follow links, and have introduced a couple of new ones. So do check that video out because it's really important for SEO. Although not much happened, it's a bit confusing, but the video will explain more.
Yes.
But this week we're going to do an AMA, right?
Yeah, so we put a post out on the group a bit earlier on in the week, just asking if you've got any questions. We do it quite regular as well, so keep an eye out on the group just to see if you do have any kind of burning questions you want to ask. Same format as normal. I'll ask Andy a question, Andy will ask me a question, and we'll just go through the questions that we've had.
All right, cool, let's start. So I'll ask you first.
Yes.
So this is a question from Rich. How long will it take to see results in Google after adding structured data for FAQs?
Yeah, so great question. Essentially, it's not a specific answer because you don't have a definitive timescale. Whenever you kind of make changes on the site, you don't know how quickly Google's going to pick up them changes. Essentially, you can try and speed up that process by going into your Google Search Console and essentially submitting the page that you've made the changes to. So just try and speed up the process of Google picking up them changes. One thing to note with rich snippets is that Google don't kind of always guarantee that if they do find that structured data on your website, that they're actually going to then use it in the search results. So one thing I'd say is that have a look through the keywords that you're optimizing for or you're wanting them rich snippets to essentially show for, and make sure that other sites actually have some kind of structured data within the search results. Because if they don't, there is potential that Google maybe won't use it. It comes right back actually to our transactional informational keyword and what the user's intent is and what Google essentially wants to show for that. One thing to note as well, there is actually the ability for you to go onto the Webmasters community forum. So if you just search within Google Webmasters community, you can go onto the forum, you can actually submit your site, and Google say that they don't respond to every single one, but they do sometimes. If you haven't got structured data showing, you can put a request on there, and essentially they can give you some feedback sometimes, not always, on why it's not showing. And they say that it helps them to detect and display marked up content. So yeah, if you've made some changes and it's a couple of weeks later, you still not noticing any difference, jump onto there and just probably put a post up.
Yeah, so make sure the page has been indexed. Crawled and indexed within that time as well.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Cool. So the next question is from Phil. On e-commerce sites, is thin content a problem for product pages, or should you work extra content in for the sake of it?
So this is a question that anyone that works in SEO and has worked on e-commerce sites gets asked a lot, because if you're an e-commerce site, you might have hundreds, if not thousands of pages, right? And 90–95% of those are going to be product pages. You have your home page, your content pages, your category, subcategory pages. Then you're going to have all of your product pages. So when Google comes to crawl your site, the majority of what it's going to be crawling is product pages. And it's a big investment to write unique content for each one of those product pages. It is important from an SEO point of view. I think first off, one of the things that we will say outright is, having worked on a lot of e-commerce sites before, those that perform better than others, especially from a small business point of view, are those with unique content that put in the time and effort to write it. Thin content is typically when you've not put any content down, or your content's very short, or potentially even copied from maybe a manufacturer's site. But ultimately it comes down to content is just one ranking factor, right? You know, there are 200 ranking factors. And you can have thin content and you can rank if all your other ranking factors are doing really well, right? So if you've got great links, you know, you've got your great technical SEO, great reputation and that sort of thing, then you can rank. If you're a small business and you don't have those things going in your favour, then you need to pick up your wins where you can. So making sure that you've got unique content on those product pages is going to give you those wins. So I would advise it. I know it's a pain. You know, maybe just work on your products within your key categories first. You know, just focus on those. But you do want to think, if Google's coming to your website and, you know, 90% of it, which are your product pages, have got thin content, that's going to look poorly. It's going to look poorly across your whole site. So you do want to think about the impact that's having. My recommendation is to try and stagger the amount of products you've got on your website. You know, don't try and have thousands upon thousands straight away, because that is just going to give you just a terrible thin content issue. Maybe put, you know, 100 up and then maybe another 100. You know, so you've got a smaller website. And you can manage those and add unique content to them as you go, rather than put them all live at once, and suddenly you've got thousands of pages with no good content, and that is going to really not help your SEO in any way at all. So yeah,
awesome. No, good answer.
Cool. Thank you very much.
No worries. Your question next.
All right, cool. So this is from Chad. It's quite a long one. I'll try and paraphrase it. But does Google hate living documents? So the question is, if you have a page that's ranking in Google search, and then you go to it at a later point and you add content to it, does this kill off your ranking? Does Google remove your ranking and have to re-index it or redecide where you rank before you then rank?
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah. So essentially, with regards to kind of killing off the ranking, it doesn't tend to happen unless you kind of have a page that you kind of remove off. Killing off in terms of totally dropping it out of its kind of rank doesn't happen as often if you're only changing like small bits of content on a page.
I've never really seen it happen.
No. So it's one of them that if you're adding. So if you've got your page essentially that you've had some content on there, as you mentioned, it's ranking really well and you want to potentially go back to that over time and continue to update that. If you're only kind of adding new content to the bottom of that page, or you're only making small tweaks to that page in terms of the content that's on there, you probably won't see a drop off in performance.
An increase.
Yeah, exactly. You'd hope to see an increase. If you're going back to that page and you're totally changing the content that's in there and kind of removing all the previous content that was there before and adding totally new content in there, at that point you may see some changes if, essentially going back to the basics, if you're not talking about the same keywords, if the entities, as we've discussed previously, the entities on that page totally change and you're now talking about a totally different topic to the keywords that page is essentially optimized for. At that point, you're then going to see kind of a drop off potentially. Again, as Andy mentioned on the previous question, you've kind of, it makes it one of many ranking factors.
Yeah.
So if everything else for the page is performing really well and you're just changing a tiny bit of content, I can't imagine that the page itself is going to drop out the index.
No, I was saying to Kieran earlier, like an analogy or a similar situation is like an e-commerce site. So imagine ASOS, right? Now, ASOS's jackets page, for example, they're always re-merchandising. They're always adding new products. They're always adding different products to that front page. So that front page content, when Google crawls it, is changing all the time. Its ranking doesn't drop. You know, those products are still relevant for the keyword jacket, as I'm sure in your case it will be for whatever keyword you're going for. All the other ranking factors are staying stable. You're not going to drop out and go in just because you changed the content on that page.
Exactly. Yeah, so not something to be scared of. Actually, probably something that's relatively good to do. Yeah, keep the content up to date, because Google's always looking for the best answer to the query that someone's searching. So if you're constantly updating that and making sure it's always relevant, it's a perfect thing. So yeah, if you have the time, always do it.
Good answer.
Thank you. Yeah, boost of confidence, it's good. So final question was from Kieran, great name. My question is about competitors abusing Google My Business with paid for links. Does it have an effect?
I guess there's a few things to roll into this question. So if you Google My Business, links do matter. So when it comes to Google My Business, where you rank in that map pack, along with your kind of local SEO specific ranking factors like citations, Google My Business, how much data you filled out in there, the regular ranking factors do count towards that. So backlinks do impact that. So all things being equal, if your competitor's got more backlinks than you, higher quality, then they're going to rank above you in Google My Business. Paid for backlinks, it all depends on the type of backlinks it is. We'd need to kind of determine that. If they're spammy, horrible, unnatural backlinks, Google's going to suss it out and it's going to drop them. If they're perhaps being mentioned on a very high quality directory website where you have to pay to even be included, then that's going to help their SEO because they're being mentioned on a high directory kind of quality directory website. So yeah, how to stop it to even the playing field? I guess it really depends. Like, are their links spammy? Are they going to get hit by it? Are they the kind of links that you can replicate because they're actually good quality links? Can you look to build up links? Is it the links that's actually getting them to where they are?
I was going to say that,
I mean, we've mentioned it. You know, there are so many ranking factors. You know, you should really look at things in isolation and go, okay, well, this is the difference that means so and so's ranking above me, or I'm ranking above so and so because this one thing. You know, there are so many different factors. So yeah, have a look. I'd probably, you know, if you do see a significant difference between your backlinks and theirs, just have a look at their backlink profile. Where are they getting from? Are they good quality backlinks? Because backlinks are just going to help you generally anyway. You know, Google My Business across all of your keywords. So yeah, it's hard to say without seeing them. but have a look through and just try and build your backlink profile. So it's a general piece of advice.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, if you add these as competitors within Hike, we will give you backlink opportunities where maybe both of them actually have links on the same site. So it's a quick win for you to go away and actually build the links on the same sites that they've got to kind of almost even the backlink playing field. Of the map pack.
Yeah, good point, well made.
Awesome.
Cool.
That's everything. That's all the questions.
All right.
So we'll obviously, like I mentioned before, we keep doing these on a regular basis. So keep your eye out just to see if we pop up a request for questions. And yeah.
All right, cool. Well, have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Cheers all.
Bye.